Okay, so to our dearest students, are you about to graduate? Then join us and learn how to get hired. Okay, our our guest sharer this evening is Bernie Floresca, which hails from Chicago. And before we begin, to all to all our friends, students out there who are into the world of digital creativity, inviting you to join us in. Okay, so if you're into digital creativity like Photoshop, Illustrator, inviting you to join us in Digital Creatives Philippines. Also, this live stream was brought to us by LinkedIn Local Philippines Metro South. So I'm going to comment down below the link to that group, inviting all to join us in LinkedIn Local Philippines Metro South. Okay, and joining us this evening is Felix Polio. Okay, a student from Pamantasan ng lungsod ng Muntinlupa. Good evening, Felix.
Hi, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. We are pleasure to be here tonight with you. Hope you guys doing well tonight. So please stay tuned to us.
Okay, so Felix, from what course are you currently taking up right now?
I'm currently taking up Bachelor's of Science in Information Technology from Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Muntinlupa, and yeah, I'm a graduating student right now. So we're hoping to get to the
Learn.
get to it and have a great job. Yeah, you know.
Okay, okay. And I'm seeing Miss Ice smiling. Okay, in addition, we have another student on stage. Good evening to Almarie Fernandez. Hi, Almarie. Hello, Almarie.
Good evening, sir. Hello, sir.
Ayan. From what school are you daw, Almarie?
Pamantasan ng lungsod ng Muntinlupa, sir. PL Moon.
Ayan. What course are you currently taking then, right now?
Bachelor of Science in Information Technology, sir.
Okay,
Same
so
with Felix.
okay. So you are both fourth year or third year students.
We are both a
Fourth year, sir.
graduating students.
Fourth year.
Yes,
So this is
graduating.
a 4 year, no, 4 year, 4 year degree course. So I guess my question would be, ladies first, probably to Almarie, no? What have you been doing to get yourself prepared, or what are you currently doing to prepare yourself on how to be hired?
Actually, sir, usually nanonood po ako ng mga interviews, mga ganyan po, or yung mga lectures or mga live streams, sir, na makakakuha ko ng idea kung paano mag-apply to the future job, sir.
Ayan. So how about you, Felix? What have you been doing this past months or probably years in order to prepare yourself to be hired?
Actually, I'm doing good tonight. No, to the past month and days. So I do have research on how to, to get hired on my future employers, and I do research to the companies as well. So that's what I'm doing. I'm studying their backgrounds. That's why to know. Yeah, that's all.
Ayan, shout out to our friends. Ayan, thank you Benedict Estor. Ayan, John Axel Varias, ayan, Christian Subong. Okay. In addition, I'll be adding someone, and I hope she's ready to share her experiences on how she landed her first job. So our resident supporter to LinkedIn Local Philippines. Let's say good evening to Miss Ice Tolentino.
Hi there. How are you today?
Ayan, so I
Good, good,
guess
Miss Ice.
Hello po, good evening.
Hi. I'm glad I'm back here.
yeah, and I think as what I have mentioned earlier, you are now baptized into the name into the name of resident supporter. Okay, of Lincoln Local. Probably my question to Miss Ice is: did you prepare yourself for your first job with a primary group of companies? Can you share us? Can you share to Felix, Almari, of course, and to everyone, to every students out there, your journey on how you prepared yourself to be hired?
Yeah, actually, everyone prepared, right? Everyone's preparing well after their graduation or before the graduation itself, and then like other student back then. uh, I've prepared a lot. Like I'm sending a lot of my latest, not latest, my CV to all the companies that I want to be in. So yeah, just and everyone will be. I think they will be nervous whenever you will have that interview. So I think that will be the first one that you have to prepare.
Miss Ice, can you share to us the experience, the journey when you were hired with the primary group of companies?
Yeah, actually, that's not my first job. My first job is with Metro
Ah,
Gaisano. Yeah. So I have been. I just sent my resume through email. Yeah, because email is already invented back then. and then uh, and then after that, after I think just a day, or because I was still studying back then when I was
mhm.
called on Metro Gisano, and then yeah, after a day, I've got forward interview and got hired on the spot. Just be confident, actually.
Okay, yeah. So, yep. Thank you for that tip. One of the tips, I
Yeah,
guess, is being uh, confident.
yeah,
Okay.
and just be true to yourself.
Back then, I think, were you able to utilize LinkedIn during that time, or back then LinkedIn was not yet the portal, I guess, or the avenue by recruiters?
Oh my god, that's way back 2010. So yeah, um, that's more of email and phone calls.
Okay, so yep, I think we lost Almarie. Okay, hoping to see her back soon. Okay, and without further ado, our guest sharer for tonight. Okay, hails from Chicago, and yes, we want this to be authentic and raw, to be raw as much as possible, to be authentic. So feel free to ask questions. We want this to be an interactive webinar live stream. Okay, so this is not a conversation between the five of us, but a conversation between all of us. So once more, would like you all to welcome. Let's welcome our guest sharer this evening, Sir Bernie Floresca.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Thank you, for Sir Joe Mark, for having me. And it was great to hear, Felix sharing, Almarie sharing, and Miss Ice and sharing how she got her very first job.
Okay, so yep, we've heard you are based in Chicago right now. Is
Yes,
that true?
sir. Yeah, I've been in Chicago for a little bit. So I am an engineer, like most of you guys are, but I'm electronics and electrical. So when I saw that your list of where this is being streamed was mostly to electrical engineers and business folks as well, like Miss Ice out there, I was kind of excited that I'm speaking to like a familiar group.
Yep, and I think everyone is curious as well on your journey on how you ended up in Chicago. Can you please share to us that exciting journey?
Sure, absolutely. Actually, my father was in the U.S. Navy years ago. So instead of retiring in the States, he decided to bring his family back to the Philippines. So he was smart. Matalino siya. Okay. So he knew that if he brought his US dollars to the Philippines, it was like living in Mexico. And he never had to work another day in his life after he retired. So I actually went to school in the Philippines. That's why I'm fluent in Ilocano and Tagalog. So please, I realize that this live stream is actually global with audience. But if you're more comfortable speaking in Tagalog or Ilocano, by the way, I could understand that as well. So after I graduated from St. Louis University in Baguio, I knew I was coming back to the States. I've been in the U.S. ever since.
Oh, okay. So yeah, once more, guys, feel free to ask questions. Also, I'm seeing here you've been to Devry University. So
DeVry, yeah, DeVry
DeVry.
University, yeah. So that was one of the issues actually, because when I moved to the States, I was a fresh graduate from St. Louis University. So moving to the US with a foreign degree with no experience, which is kind of like why my heart is near and dear to new graduates. One of my cousins kind of said, "Why don't you get some local credentials?" So DeVry was one of the colleges here in the States that was like advertising, will help you get a job. So yes, I went there. Though I had my engineering degree, a bachelor's from St. Louis in the Philippines, I took a technician course just to get the name of the school on my CV. And as a result, that got me into, I worked for AT&T for a few years. And that's when I started my engineering job.
Yep. Probably again, some of our audience are curious. Are both of your parents Ilocano or?
Both of them are Ilocano from Aringay, La Union, and my father's from San Fernando, La Union. So Ilocano Akmanong.
Oh, the beach there are good, really.
Yeah, the beaches are
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And I actually have been watching YouTube, and the development of what's going on in the Philippines is kind of amazing compared to like when I was growing up there. So looking forward to visiting again soon after the pandemic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
hopefully this will end soon, the soonest.
Yeah, and you've mentioned Ilocano. The thing that got into my mind was the rapper. I forgot his name. You know that rapper Felix Almari, that rapper who's also an Ilocano, but yeah,
I
he's
think
based.
I think I
Yeah,
heard him recently.
eh,
I forgot the name, but yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, just don't ask me with that because that's not my forte.
But I, you also speak Ilocano, right? Or
No,
no?
I'm a Kapampangan.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, Kapampangan are great cooks, except for me, maybe.
Yeah, my sister married a Kapampangan, so she actually learned Kapampangan. She was quite fluent, which was kind of impressive to me.
Yeah, that's yeah, because somehow Kapampangan language is kind of hard to learn.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Just to add, for those who are not familiar with me, uh, the Iloco blood also runs within my veins. Okay, my dad is an Ilocano also from Ilocos, Cagayan, Isabela. Okay, and my mom is Bisaya. So in our household, sometimes they do clash. so
That's a
I, I
fun
some,
fact.
so sometimes I call myself as Bisacano, Bisaya and Ilocano.
It's
Okay.
a mixture of both.
Yeah, mixture of both. Okay, so yep. Shout out once more to Felix and Al Marie. I guess they're losing their internet.
Connection.
So yep, yep. To our students out there, you're yeah, we encourage you to ask questions, and yes, please do participate anytime. So feel free. So once more, this is a discussion, a sharing of knowledge between Bernie, Ice, Felix, and Al Marie, in the hopes of we can help you out be hired immediately or before you graduate. Okay, be
Oh my
hired.
God. So
Yes, oh
really.
my God.
I have a question to Bernie though. How did you start your career there?
Yeah, yeah. Great question.
Very good question. And it wasn't easy. So, like I was saying, the first thing that I did was I did the same thing everything everybody else was doing. Wrote out your CV, and then I was sending it out to companies. One of the biggest mistakes that I did was I was going for the smaller companies, thinking that they would hire me quicker. You have to remember that a smaller company has lesser budget, so they really need to get the exact person that they're looking for. So that was my original intent. And then I told you my cousin told me to get local credentials. I went to DeVry at that point in time. Having gotten my bachelor's already and taking an associate's degree, I got like very high marks. So it was a 4.0 out of 4.0. And the company who hired me, AT&T, was like looking for a top notch, so to speak. And on paper, I looked really good. So that got me into my first engineering job. And this was like 2 years later, and I even went in through a contract house. So just to give you it's a long-winded answer to your question as to how I got my very first engineering job. But prior to that, I'd like to bring this to your attention as well. Though my engineering job didn't come till 2 years later, I did what had to be done. And this is what I'd like to share with the rest of the graduates. Once you get a job, I worked at a theater as an usher, sweeping floors. And I also work as a clerk at an ambulance company. They weren't necessarily in engineering, but my idea was to get a job so that money was coming in while I continued to look for other jobs. So just a little tip out there. Hope I answered your question, Miss Ice.
Yeah, it did. I'm also curious about your struggles there because you went there fresh grad and you did had the credentials from other schools and of course I know you've struggled a lot because yeah it's your first time to move out of your comfort zone. So how did you cope up with that?
How did I cope? Language skills was the first thing. Okay. So obviously I spoke English because I studied English in the Philippines. Now I was born in the States. All my English instruction was actually from Philippine universities. I went to St. Louis. So one of the things that I did is trying to fit in. I actually practice a lot. I was watching their newscasts, TV reporters, the way they spoke. I didn't have a car yet at that point in time. So when I'd be walking home, I'd act as if I was one of those newscasters and start practicing my English. So that's another tip for you guys. If you're practicing for an interview, whenever you have free time, you could practice answering questions, speaking out loud, so that your thoughts could come out there and you could like think it was an actual interview. So true to what you're saying, Miss Ice, I certainly had difficulties, just like probably a lot of students are having. But, it's forward and upward is what we do.
I totally agree actually, yeah. And just be confident, I think.
Yeah,
for that. Yeah,
for
because
sure.
it will really move you forward.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just to add to our students who are currently with us tonight, curious to know, can you comment down below what companies are you looking forward to get hired? Okay, how about you, Almari? Any particular companies in mind that you're aiming for to be hired, Almari? How about you, Felix?
Actually, sir,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
sir, MDS solution. Actually, sir,
MD.
Japan siya na, Japan yung pinaka-boss niya, sir. So, sila, more on CAD, AutoCAD, sir.
Ayan. How about you, Miss Ice? Have you worked in a Japanese company before, or
No, but I've been in the retail, banking, and BPO industry so far. Yeah,
yeah?
really enjoying it. Yeah.
Actually, my second job, my first job was in Subic for a week only
Wow.
because I was a mama's boy. I guess I was, and it was my first job, and it's far from Las Piñas, so it was a great challenge for me and a different environment. So I was like Almari mentioned, my work there was in using AutoCAD during that time, and my boss there was a Taiwanese. It's a Taiwanese company, so I just stayed there for a week, and after that, my second job was with a Japanese company in Santo Tomas, Batangas, and it really is a different set of culture with regards to working with a Japanese uh, boss than an American setting. So, how about you, Felix? What companies are you opting for to be hired?
Trying my best to practice my skill, and I'm looking for you know to get hired, something like. I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, the internet connection is so slow.
Anyway, I commend Felix for doing his best to speak to us in English, right, Miss Ice?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're doing
Okay.
great,
Actually, right now,
actually.
I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what to say, but I'm trying my best to speak English right now. Sorry,
You're doing a
guys,
great
but you
job,
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. That's
Felix, you
you
are.
there, students out there, I'm encouraging all of you to speak English to start right now.
That's really, really awesome because it's in practicing
yeah,
that
that's
you
true.
get to do it. So that's really, really awesome, Felix. And I actually heard you on another live cast, and you're coming on pretty strong. That great job.
Yeah, just keep on practicing because everything. If you will be doing it every day or every minute of your life, you'll get through it. You'll be used to it.
actually, actually, Sir Jomark is always telling me to speak in English to practice my communication skills.
Oh, it's your
That's
fault,
Ayan.
He
Mark.
always telling me that.
it's
Ayan.
great advice. Great advice.
So right now you have additional two people encouraging you to speak in dollars. Okay. Once
That's
more,
good.
yep. Once more to
If you
our
can speak,
students, please comment down saan nyo gustong ma-hire. Okay, in Tagalog. Okay? Saan nyo gustong ma-hire? Mahal ko kayo, no? I don't know how to speak Tagalog.
Oh my
Mahal ko
god.
kayo. Okay?
I also want to ask Bernie on his insights about the pandemic nowadays, because
Yeah, yeah.
I think most of the graduates, as well as people or unemployed graduates, had a really hard time in looking for a
True.
job. So, uh, what are your tips and also some insights for them to level up their or move their careers?
Sure, sure. Thanks for the person who shared that they were trying to get hired at IBM. So, to answer your question, Miss Ice, in the midst of the pandemic, and that's why the topic today is very relevant, because aside from the usual stuff of sending our resumes and CVs and going directly to the companies, one of the things that I'd like to share with you, and it's actually through social media and very specifically LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like the largest business site that's out there with over 745 million global users, professionals. So you would be crazy not to tap into that. And part of my mandate, working in the States, I saw that it was big. And then I noticed that I didn't see a whole lot of Filipino professionals compared to people from India or, say, maybe Brazil or Europe. So to your point, Miss Ice, amidst the pandemic and everything that's going on, if we're kind of like all stuck on the internet, the tips that you'll get about graduate to hired and actually maximizing the use of a tool like LinkedIn. And I'll give you some background later. It's not as used, it's not as popular. People just think it's a static resume database, which it's not. And actually, my slant is I get into the business growth tactics. As an entrepreneur, you use the skills that you use for business to find customers. And during the pandemic, we've been looking for clients on the internet. So the same thing could be done. And last summer, in the middle of the pandemic, that's when I thought, if I could use these skills to find clients, why can't students use the same exact skills to find jobs or find connections or find people to surround them with? Like Felix right now, he's got like 3 people on his back right now to start practicing speaking English. LinkedIn would be a resource to find other people, other professionals who would support you in moving forward. That make sense?
Yeah, yeah. That's a great point, actually.
Thank you, Sir
Okay,
Burns.
I'm seeing Danica Chanchico. No? She wants to be with JP Morgan.
JP
Okay.
Morgan, yes, big financial company. So I'm curious, for all the people who are talking about IBM, JP Morgan Chase, I'm curious what you're doing on LinkedIn to find people to contact with. One of the things that we know is we just look for the people who are hiring. I'll show you some more techniques as to how you do not stop with just the people who are directly hiring, but to expand your network. And we'll go through some of that today.
Okay, so yep, I'm going to add your screen now, Sir Bernie, and for you to share as well our agenda tonight. Okay, so we're now seeing your screen. In addition, yeah, hi to Meredith. Good evening po. I want to work as a freelance. Okay, pwede din
Awesome.
yan.
Pwede. Freelance is also great, and LinkedIn is a great place to be at doing that. Our focus is kind of like for students, graduating students or professionals, but the techniques that we're teaching actually applies to anything right now. So that's the beauty of it. I just happen to call it graduate to hard to get started. So I guess we're all live. Just in case you guys want to follow with the slide deck, in the presentation where it says LinkedIn Local Philippines, if you guys notice, I just posted the slide deck that we'll be using out there today. It's got 28 pages. So please feel free, if you're on a replay or anything like that, to do the same thing. So again, thank you, LinkedIn Local Philippines Metro South, for inviting me to be the guest sharer for today. It's actually good evening, good afternoon, good morning to participants who registered via LinkedIn. But I realize, again, like I said earlier, that this is simulcast to various schools and business organizations across the Philippines. So I realize that majority would probably like to speak Tagalog, but since we have people from the US who registered, from Singapore, Germany, Nigeria, Bangladesh, the United Kingdom, India, Russia, and Canada are the people that I saw. And I practice whatever I preach. I've reached out to some folks in the Philippines and across the world, because not everybody who is listening to this are students. They're professionals also in the field, probably
True.
doing the same thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
They want to help other people as well. So I started networking. So when I'm talking to you here, I practice myself. So let's go to the slide deck. Are you seeing this okay, Sir Joe Mark?
Absolutely.
So, all right, cool. So the design, like I was sharing earlier, the workshop was born in the midst of a pandemic. I wanted to launch a student workshop that would teach the tactics that I was using as an entrepreneur so that people get hired faster. The way I designed the Graduate to Hired workshop was it was highly interactive, and I normally do it via Zoom. So people are back and forth. And the information has to be applied. It's not like one of those things where I lecture, you understand it, and then you kind of know the information. It's more application, where you get maximum benefit for this. So to that point, I'd like to share that if you're listening to this on replay, feel free to stop the video, advance it, rewind it, fast forward it, or whatever for your purposes. The way I designed the workshop is it's normally 1 hour a week for 4 weeks that allows you to apply what you're learning. And what we're doing today is actually to simulate those 4 weeks in today's session with the appropriate cutoffs for the material for you to do your homework on your LinkedIn profile. And with that, if you guys followed my posts, I had encouraged you to take a look at my LinkedIn profile and try to observe what was going on there, because I want you to find out what it is that I'm doing, because the same thing could apply to you. So as we're speaking right now, to go to my profile, all you need to type in is berniefloresca.com. That takes you directly to my LinkedIn profile. And at the same time, while we're doing this today, I'd like you in the background to go to your personal profile. So let me give you a few minutes to do that right now. I want you to open up berniefloresca.com, which is my LinkedIn profile. And then I want you to go to your profile so that as I'm speaking, you're seeing what's going on with your LinkedIn profile, and you can start jotting notes as to what you need to change. And I want you to start comparing what I did to my profile, because the same exact thing will apply to your profile.
Okay,
Does it
so
make
once more-
sense?
Yep. Once more, guys, I have the link in the comment section below, so feel free to click on that link to be brought to Sir Bernie's LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Sir Joe Mark. Again, I'm going to reiterate what you just shared earlier. I want this to be interactive. If you have any questions, and I understand from Sir Joe Mark that we have a 30-second delay anyway, so feel free to type it in, and we'll get to your questions as we're going through this. It would kind of mimic what I tried to do an interactive workshop on Zoom, and we'll try to do our best to do it here today. So, with the slide, why business tactics? Okay. At the very bottom, I call it out, and I say that entrepreneurs like myself stepped up the game. Entrepreneurs. I didn't say business professionals. I said entrepreneurs specifically. And the reason I say that is we find out ways that even LinkedIn themselves don't preach using LinkedIn for. Okay, and that'll be clear in a few minutes. So here's my value add. Like I said earlier, What I've been doing in marketing, though my background is engineering, I kind of got into sales and most recently marketing. I've been doing it for the last 2 years. And part of what I was doing was finding clients on the internet for coaches and consultants. Okay, so we have these coaches and consultants with high ticket packages, anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. You don't necessarily like find them by going out on the street, and everything was done on the internet. And to go back to what I was sharing with Miss Ice earlier, if that can be done by an entrepreneur, why can't it be done by a student? If we could give that same skill set to students and engineers and professionals, why not, right? Would that be good,
Yeah.
sir?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree too.
Cool.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. So here's the background that I was telling you earlier that I wanted to share. If you go to Google and Google LinkedIn Corporation, I want you to take note. This was a screenshot from yesterday. Take a look at what LinkedIn is saying. They were founded in 2002. They launched in 2003. And when they started, at the bottom, it says that it allows job seekers to post their CVs and allows employers to post jobs. So here's the thing. Most people think that LinkedIn is a passive site to put your CV information on so that you can like match people. And the only time that people actually go to LinkedIn right now is when they're actually looking for a job. So what about the networking opportunities? What about finding mentors, partners, collaborators, people who could surround me like Felix, who could help me speak in English? Or say if I was trying to practice Spanish, for example, why can't I reach out to people in, say, Mexico or even Spain? The world is your oyster, and that's the nice thing about LinkedIn. And that's what I want to change with what's going on in the Philippines. So back to my entrepreneur venture, graduate to hired, what I do is I reach out to college career services. So this is the offices in universities here in the States and actually in any other universities. Is that the same thing going on for universities in the Philippines? Is there like a business center or a career center?
How about you guys?
Felix, Almarie,
Yeah,
Miss
before
Ice?
on our university, they have this something like career or what do you call that one?
Career
Uh,
placement services.
Career
yeah,
placement.
yeah.
Or maybe internship, right?
Yeah. The internship to specific, of course, in line with your course.
Yes.
Specific industry in line with your course.
So as an entrepreneur, that's one of the things that I do. I use Google and I use LinkedIn to research the directors for these departments. So if I treated LinkedIn just like a job seeker does, from the way LinkedIn was designed, just kind of put something static out there and wait for people to come out to me, that's never going to happen. So part of what I do is I use it from the active standpoint. Okay. And there's two ways to do that. Number one, your profile has to look good so that if somebody wants to check you out, when they Google your name, what shows up? You have to show up very professionally, obviously. So that's why the first part of what we're working on right now is making sure that your profile doesn't look like a Facebook profile. Because Facebook profile, it's more non-business. You could pretty much put whatever it is to fit your personality. From LinkedIn, you can still make it, fit your personality, but it has to be from the business standpoint. Was there any questions about that so far?
None so far. I actually totally agree with you, Bernie, because I'm also a social media enthusiast. So I find more LinkedIn has a professional approach than Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely professional. And one of the things that we found out for entrepreneurs, one of the reasons, like we said earlier, over 740 million global users, for entrepreneurs, if you go to Facebook, it has no information about what they do for a living. So you don't know for a client whether they have money or not. When you go to LinkedIn, everybody's putting their job, their history,
Yeah,
how long they've been in that. So from the standpoint of a business owner, LinkedIn is much, much more attractive.
true, true.
So business growth tactics, like I said, it's very specific. Business growth. That's what I do. I help people find clients. I'm growing their business. So why can't we teach those same business growth tactics to find jobs and internships, to connect with mentors, like we're kind of showing up? For business partners, if you have a business, you can create strategic partnerships. Like, for example, I was speaking to a gentleman in Colorado. He's actually from Italy, but I think his business is called Genius 21. So what he does is he goes out to high schools and teaches them this technique to learn faster. He heard about what I was doing. So we kind of spoke on the phone. We're understanding what each other did. And maybe further down the line, if we're approaching the same people, we could possibly synergize and collaborate. So that's the whole idea. How about we translate that to a student right now? A student could reach out. One of the good things about students is when you speak to professionals and they see you as a graduating student demonstrating your leadership by actually reaching out to somebody, they actually appreciate that, and they'll give you time of day to share some information with you. Is that your experience, Sir Joe Mark and Miss Ice?
Gents first.
Well, actually, I started to
mentor.
reach. Yeah, I started to reach out people in LinkedIn. I guess after 5 years, I was an early adopter of LinkedIn as well. 2012.
Nice.
But it was just told by an office mate of mine. But when I was doing freelancing, that's where I discovered how to utilize LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And that is what we actually, to add, just that is what we usually use LinkedIn for, to hunt for clients.
Clients, exactly. So Sir Joe Mark just made the exact point again. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, a freelancer, he was using LinkedIn to find clients. So I'll repeat what I said earlier. Why can't students or any professionals in general maximize the use of LinkedIn for the exact same thing, and not only go to LinkedIn when you're looking for a job? So thank you for sharing that, Sir Joe Mark.
Yep. In addition, that's true with regards to Darwin Lumbera. He's currently based in, I think, in Hong Kong right now, and yeah, totally agree that this happened to me. I guess this happened also to Ice as well. You're not looking for a job, and then someone approaches you, offering opportunity, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's very, very good. And I'd like to point out that the reason somebody reached out to you is your LinkedIn profile probably really looks good,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
All those credentials and all. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why it's very
Really taken care of.
important. Yeah. That's why it's important for what we do right now. Actually, you don't really need to modify your LinkedIn profile and start doing the outreach, but it has to come to a point such that, like to Miss Ice's point, that her LinkedIn profile looked good. She wasn't even looking for a job. They looked at it, but everything that they needed to see was on their profile, and she became very, very attractive to somebody looking to give her an opportunity. So that's kind of like the gist of what we're doing today. You want to take care of your profile part so it looks acceptable. And then we're going to be talking about the outreach. Anything else that
Your
folks wanted to add before I go to the next slide? Felix?
actually
Felix.
your profile has to be like a perfume, a scent of a perfume to a
Very good analogy.
sorry
So
sir.
that you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
smell good. So that you smell good, right? To somebody who's looking
Yes
for
sir.
that perfume.
Yeah.
I also
Very good
add
analogy.
that link in for I sir, I also add about LinkedIn. I learned a lot from LinkedIn right now. Because of LinkedIn Learning. So I actually practice some of my skills like in Photoshop and yeah, some stuffs that help me to enhance and to achieve my goals.
Yeah, and to better your skills. Thank you for bringing that, Felix. Actually, that was another point that LinkedIn is out there for, aside from networking. And again, to the point of Miss Ice earlier, what should students be doing in the midst of pandemic when it looks like nobody's hiring? You could be improving yourself, like Felix said. He's going through LinkedIn Learning. And LinkedIn, again, from the standpoint of learning stuff, you have other areas. And this is actually one example of another area. So great share, Felix. That's really, really awesome. Any others before I move?
Yeah, let me share also my the journey of my sister. Okay, so my sister is current was previously working here in the Philippines, and luckily during this pandemic, she was hired in Singapore. So very different from what's currently happening with everyone. While everyone was uh, retrenched or probably removed from their jobs, she was able to land a job during the pandemic. Actually, this I think this is her sixth month in Singapore right now.
That's so awesome. Do you think there was something that she did, Sir Joe Mark, that allowed her that opportunity to come to her? I'm sure it wasn't just pure luck.
Yeah. I believe it's part luck, and
Part
I
luck.
think the one that made her go to Singapore was because of relationships.
Created on LinkedIn or otherwise, right? Just business relationships.
Yeah.
That's really, really awesome. So some really good points. Hope people are taking notes as to what we're talking about. So really, really great share there, Sir Joe Mark.
Yeah, I agree with Jomar because connections are really important into the business or any employment opportunities.
Yeah, it's really, really big. So that's the other thing that we'll be talking about when we go into the outreach section, which actually we'll cover in this next slide. So I am going to assert what I have there on the screen for you. I'm saying that these business growth tactics allow one to reach out to whomever wants to on LinkedIn or social media to get whatever they need to succeed. What are your thoughts on that? It allows you to reach out to whomever you want. The world is your oyster because you see them on LinkedIn to get whatever that you need to succeed. So, for example, my audience right now is students, but one of the things that I thought was to go to college career centers because they're talking to students. So, guess what I'm doing to LinkedIn? I'm going out directly to directors of career centers, but get this. I expanded my vision because I noticed that resume writers, that career counselors, that education consultants. I even met the director from Google Education who was doing podcasts. So, again, just to give you an idea of what the power of LinkedIn is doing, you don't have to have narrow focus on just looking for a job. It's like you have the world at the tip of your fingers. So I guess start reaching out to people. And when we talk about business relationships, just act like they're human beings. Just try to connect. What would you say if you met them on the street? Say hi first. What do you think of what I just shared? I could share a bunch of stuff with the way other people use LinkedIn, but I'm going to go one point at a time. What do you think of expanding your reach to other folks from who your target audience is? Ideas?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think it's like in the marketing side because whenever you reach on some connections, or you do or add or follow some connections, you expand your reach, you expand your engagement, you expand all your connections. So those connections will help you, like in finding a good job, finding a good position, or finding clients even more, even better.
Yes, yes, absolutely. With those business relationships. So I'll be honest with you guys. What I did when I went to LinkedIn to see who registered, I noticed not everybody was from the Philippines. I noticed that not everybody is a student. You have people in higher education that actually could be doing the same thing I'm doing. Well, guess what I did? I reached out to them. And that's kind of like the reason that I knew some people are on here because of some of those connections. One connection leads to another connection leads to another connection.
Yeah, that's what the power of technology can do.
Definitely. And technology multiplies what we have on our fingertips. So let's bring that to everybody else and let's do the same thing.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, just to add, you mentioned about meeting someone on the street. So this is what I suggested as well to my students. So it's we are all familiar. I hope the students right here are also familiar with the business cards, right? So I'm currently sharing my screen. So what I did with our OJTs right now, I have them make a VCF. So anyone out here familiar with the V card, with a VCF? Okay. So what I did, VCF is a sort of virtual business card, right, Bernie, Sir Bernie?
yeah, I've actually seen that. Yes.
And if I
Great share.
forwarded a VCF to you in LinkedIn or to your email, if you download that and you open it up, it goes directly into your mobile phone or your email address book. So what I did with our OJTs and students, I have them. I'm currently sharing my screen. Some of the sites that allows you to generate a VCF. I ordered them to create a VCF and attach that to the featured section of their LinkedIn profile. Because I think one of uh, the best practices, I'm seeing a lot of freelancers. Okay, they have their LinkedIn profile saying they're a freelancer, and the thing that's blocking the opportunity for them is they don't have a mobile phone. Okay, they're not easily reachable, and with the VCF, it's like once more, it's like a virtual, an e-business card wherein your contact details goes into the mobile phone, may it be a recruiter. And when you are in the mobile phone of a person, it's very easy for you to reach. Let's say, for example, I'm looking for an outsourcing partner. If I have Ice Tolentino on my phone, right away, as quick as that, I can reach. I may be giving her opportunity, right? So I think that's one of the best practices that we've learned with regards to your LinkedIn profile as well. So once more, VCF on your featured section. Always be reachable. Have a mobile phone for everyone to contact you as quick as that. Because if there's someone looking for, let's say you're looking for someone, of course, definitely you want to reach her ASAP, right, Sir Bernie?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really good. And to your
And if I,
point, that if it's on
yeah,
mobile,
yeah. And if I can't contact you right away, I'll be probably jumping to someone else whom I can easily reach. So, guys, VCF, one of the best practice that I can share to you.
that's really,
Going
really
back.
great. And I really love how you linked it to putting it on your LinkedIn. Sir Joe Mark, that's really good advice right there so that you are accessible and people know that you're up with technology. To Miss Isa's point earlier, that technology is kind of like making our lives easier, making us more reachable, which could be a good thing and a bad thing, right? But they know that you're up to speed. So that's really great information.
Yeah, or even a QR code. A
Yes.
VCF can be translated into a QR code. If I scanned, yes, I think few persons are adopting that on their LinkedIn profiles.
Yes.
You can also have that one on your background image, a QR code.
That's really, really good under the featured section. Cool.
Okay.
So the slide that we have, these are normally the modules that are covered normally in the 4-week student workshop that I have. But obviously, we're kind of condensing this. We're cutting this into bits and pieces for this group so that you could apply the work. So one of the things that you should be getting right now is we start working on your resume. I mean, your LinkedIn profile. It's not necessarily your CV. It's what I called it in item number 3. I call it your resume or your CV transform. Okay. And there are certain parts that I want to talk about this. So as we're speaking about this, the second module is the part that I would like to focus on a little bit more, which is the connecting and relating to people that you don't necessarily know. So let's talk about module 2, for example. By the way, why don't we do this? When you go to the graduate to hired, it's a company page that I created. So if you ever forget it, it's LinkedIn/company, and you can change it to graduate to hired, and I'll give you this page. The reason I'm bringing this up is at the end of this session, I'm going to be posting some stuff from this workshop, and I also continually put information here about job searching in general. So, for example, I give you information from Michael Brenner, who's an entrepreneur. He was talking about personal branding from an entrepreneur standpoint. What I like students to think about is, if you notice, I put it in the first sentence. I said, your customer for a student or a graduate is the hiring manager or HR or a job search collaborator. And your personal brand, if you're a student, is how are you different from any of the other job candidates? Why should I, as a hiring manager, hire you? So that's what talks about your personal brand. So that's just one information that one piece of information that I share here constantly. Writing resumes. So feel free to come and use this as a resource. Let's see. The reason I shared that was because I think we lost the page where we were at, right? In module 2, when we're talking about connecting and relating, one of the easiest people to connect with are people who went to your same school. Okay, if you're not comfortable like me, just reaching out to pretty much anyone on LinkedIn, if you're a student, one of the first people that you could connect with are students who are either currently going to the same school that you're going to or graduated from there. Or you could go to your professors. Or you could go to groups like this. It's very easy to connect with people who know who you are. And then that makes you more comfortable. Then you start reaching out to professional organizations. What other tips do you have there, Miss Ice and Sir Joe Mark, about expanding that circle?
Yeah, actually, I agree with to that one. And also, I would just like to add, if you have the same interest, that could be one too. It's one way to expand your connections and your reach.
That's really, really good. So, to your point, when I make a connection request, I've tried both ways. I've tried to make connection requests where I don't say anything and I just simply send connect, or I try to make a connection request by saying something. So the first thing that you want to do when you make a connection request, if you decide you want to say something, is start with their name. And then to Miss Ice's point, you could say, hey, by the way, we're both interested in travel, or we're both interested in foods, that sort of stuff, as a point of background of relatedness. So thank you for sharing that, Miss Ice.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, I was bad, I think, for a year.
Why were you bad?
Okay. So because I was previously sending too much connection invites. So that's one of the lessons learned. I learned in LinkedIn. So imagine that being banned for a year because I think I reached around, I think more than 1,000 of
Wow.
requests in LinkedIn. And the reason for that ban, take note of this, guys. If they will not accept you, even they don't ignore you. There's an option there to ignore, right?
Yes.
Even if they will not select that button or that ignore button, and still you have this backlog of unaccepted requests to connect, you'll be banned. You'll
And
be
you weren't cleaning that up. You weren't cleaning it up because
uh,
you could withdraw your request, right?
yep. In the first, I think 5 years ago, that was the technique. I can clean that up. But recently, this past
They changed
year,
that.
they changed the policy. So even if you clean up the set, you withdraw the sent connections.
They still
This
counted against you.
they oh yeah, probably there's a person there who's monitoring, and yeah, it depends on him or her.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe someone reported you, so something like that, some sort of
Yeah, because if somebody clicks the second thing where they say, I don't know Joe Mark, and they check
Yeah.
that, you get a bad mark on your report card. So these are some good things to bring to the surface.
Yeah.
just don't
So
click and click. Right, Joe
yeah,
Mark.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so what did we learn from what Joe Mark just shared? We want to be judicious in who we're choosing. And if you decide, because there's two ends of the spectrum here, you could be somebody who's so shy or so scared of trying to reach out that you hardly do anything. And to Sir Joe Mark's point, he was kind of like sending, hundreds of requests at the same time because he wanted to expand his network. He was freelancing. He was an entrepreneur. So I guess find your easy mix in the middle to do
Yeah.
that. And I think you brought up another point there, Sir Joe Mark, that you were saying LinkedIn is constantly changing their rules and constantly changing the platform. So just because you know something today, that doesn't mean they're going to change it tomorrow.
Yes.
So thank you. That's great that you brought that up. So in module 2, we're talking about connecting and relating. I had like 3 case studies that we can talk about here just to jog your memory as how to reach out to people. You really want to do research. One of the things, here's a question for the group. What's the best way to find something about the other person if you want to connect with them on LinkedIn so that you could say something that is relevant to them? Where's the best place to find info about them?
Same skill.
Same skill?
Same
Where
thing.
else? Where can you find information about the person you're trying to reach out? Let's say you didn't know me, Felix, and then you wanted to reach out to me, but you wanted to learn about me so you could like put a message in connection request. Where would you go to find information about me, Felix, if you're on LinkedIn?
I really don't know.
Starts with a P. You go to my
The rest.
profile, right? You would go to my profile.
Yeah.
Is the easiest thing for you guys to do. To find out something about the person you're reaching, try to find something. To Miss Ice's point earlier, find common interest, or if they wrote a book, or if they had a career fair, or they're talking about this topic at a university, that sort of stuff. Some of that information can be found on the profile. So this part here, where I'm talking about research, the profile is the first place to do it. What's the second place to go to if you don't find it on LinkedIn? And it's at our
Yeah.
fingertips.
Actually, I used to search first in Google.
Exactly. So if you don't find the information that you want on LinkedIn, you just Google the person's name. And actually, that's one of the reasons that you want to make sure that your profile looks good. Because guess what happens if somebody types in your name? Your LinkedIn profile shows up, your Facebook profile shows up.
Yeah.
If they're trying to find out what's going on, that's why you want to make sure your LinkedIn profile looks good if you want somebody to hire you for a job. Right? Other
Totally
comments?
agree.
Really, really good, huh? And
I
then,
really enjoy it. I got a
which
lot of
part?
tips.
I hope you're taking lots of
Um,
notes, Felix.
yeah, sir, I do have.
And I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to be asking you questions on Messenger.
Yes, sir.
So I'm joking about this, but I'm not. So Felix and I recently connected on LinkedIn. Here's a clue for other people that you're trying to reach out. Felix and I kind of like have this fun relationship on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be all that. You could bring in the element of fun to any person that you're talking to. Of course, you have to feel them out. But if they're kind of like matching your energy, if they're serious, be serious. If they're kind of like easy go lucky, you'd be easy go lucky. So you're kind of like mirroring them. That's a sales technique. So some tips of what you want to do. So the other thing that I wanted to share earlier that entrepreneurs did, they kind of did the good things, but they also did the bad things. To Sir Joe Mark's point earlier, where he was sending lots of connection requests. I'm not saying that Sir Joe Mark did it, but one of the things that you'll notice on LinkedIn is sometimes after you connect for the first time, they will say, hey, I do this, 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 and this. Here's my name. Here's my phone number. That's what I call throwing up on the other person.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
guys experienced throwing up on the other person?
I think this is one of the mistakes that we're seeing with the insurance
Agree.
in this industry right now. They're the most notorious for that. Previously, the one with the real estate, but right now it's it's the it's the from the insurance persons here in the Philippines. How about you, Miss Ice?
Yeah, it's like a hard selling because you're not
Yeah.
making a connection first. So you
Yes.
have to establish a rapport first before you do a selling. So
Yes.
that's really basic.
And people are clueless. So that's one of the things. So if you're a student, what's the version for a student to throw up on, say, a hiring manager? Let's just say Sir Joe Mark is a hiring manager. Here's what not to do. Hey, Sir Joe Mark, nice to meet you. I'm looking for this kind of job, blah, blah, blah. I'm like this, I'm trustworthy, hardworking, etc., etc. Please check out my resume. Respectfully, Bernie Floresca. What was wrong with that picture? Did I throw up on Sir Joe Mark, the hiring manager?
Certainly.
I
Yeah.
did, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things you don't want to do. You know, ask them how the weather is. Ask them how their weekend was. You know, ask them about. I normally start out with, say, Happy Tuesday or Happy Saturday. Or if it's the beginning of the month, I say Happy May. How was your April? Start little conversation like that before kind of like getting into what it is that I want to share with them. Especially when your LinkedIn profile says that you're looking for a job and then you kind of like start throwing up on them with the job thing. Guess what that makes of you?
It will make them really desperate.
Really desperate. And it's all about me, me, me. So
Yeah.
start thinking about you, you, you. So I think one of your taglines, Sir Joe Mark, is be a blessing, right?
Yeah.
And one of my taglines is pay it forward. How can you be a blessing to the other person that you just met? So
Agree.
these are some ideas for you to do. Find out how their day was or find something in their profile. Just have a conversation. I would do them in short bursts at the very beginning versus a long drawn out all about me, 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 and then putting your phone number, contact information, etc., to Miss Ice's point just sounds desperation to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mentioned about insurance. I made a quick search on my messages, and let me share you a real world example on what happened. So this is his first message to me. right away, not saying anything that we both share the same passion or interest. But this was a long one, as you can see the scroll bar.
I think I
Here's the
get that
scroll bar.
too.
Okay, so that was a long one initially, and that was his approach. So imagine the feeling, but I'm still very kind. I accepted this
Hmm. Yeah.
his invite. And what I did instead, I invited him to go over to LinkedIn Local for him to learn how to approach people, I guess, properly, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah, it's
some
a win-win
days, yeah,
situation.
some days are better than others, right? Sometimes I just delete the connection and say, that's it for them. So it's good to share some of those things. Thank you for sharing that example there, Sergio Mark. We're going to be spending time with module. Oh, the last module that we normally cover, I call it extra credit. You can do content marketing if you want to. That means you're constantly posting. And for students, what I want to say about content marketing is if you can't do this regularly, if you can't do it daily, that takes commitment. If you can't do it weekly, that takes commitment. One of the things that you should be doing as a student is if you had a college project that speaks about the skills of something that you're trying to apply for. So, for example, when I was going to university, we kind of created this model where we were using, the lights in an elevator type thing. If I wanted to show my leadership, I could talk about I was the team lead for a group of 5 people, and then our project, got damaged, but I got them to within 4 days work on our project, that sort of stuff. So one of the things that you can do about content marketing, not necessarily post this every day, but if you have a project that kind of highlights you or your accomplishments, not necessarily just the technical stuff, but even kind of shows your leadership, kind of shows your initiative, some of the soft skills that employers are looking for. Content marketing is a good place to do that. And we will go to our profile shortly to do that. And then the last piece of module three is really growing your network. So aside from doing what Joe Mark said earlier, where he was kind of going out and making connections, one of the things that I wanted to share with you, and we could do this actually with the Philippines because we have quite a network. You have quite a network, Sir Joe Mark, with the LinkedIn Local Philippines Metro South. One of the things that we could do with really growing your network, and I'll introduce this, is we have certain contacts on LinkedIn who are constantly posting, sometimes weekly, sometimes several times in a day. And then they just say, let's grow our networks, type in what you're doing in the comments, and then say, open to connections if you are. Have you guys experienced that, Miss Ice or Sergio Mark?
I think that's one of the previously popular tags, Lion, right?
Yeah,
Ice?
well, yeah, that's one way to do it, but I think it became overused, right? But you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
LinkedIn Open Networker, but there's constantly people who create these specific posts. So if your intent was to make it grow, let's say I'm a student and I have 50 connections. What if I wanted to go to the 500? One of the easiest ways, without having to do it the hard way, is looking for some of these posts, look through some of those people because they said they were open to networking. You don't even have to send a message. They just saw that you were part of that. You can just start adding your connections. So there's two trains of thought. You could be very judicious in finding out who you're connecting with, or if you wanted to grow your network really fast, because we have to admit it. If I took a look at somebody's profile and I said I had 15,000 connections versus somebody's profile who said 500 connections, we could say it doesn't matter, but it kind of does because it's a number that you're seeing. So I'm just giving you a way to do it if that's something that you chose, you wanted to do. Questions or opinions? We're cool? So this is actually part of module 2. So what I'd like to do right now is to go to Almarie, still with us? Actually, why don't I start with my profile? You guys see my profile okay?
Yep, seeing it now.
All right, good. Thank you. So what I put in that list was your tagline. So my tagline, there are two trains of thought to doing the tagline. As an entrepreneur, I want to call out who I'm trying to target, because if I just say people, I'm not really speaking to the person that I want to speak to. So as an entrepreneur looking to help students via career centers, I chose to say that I help college career services raise graduate to hire ratios as a game changer. So guess what? I called out who I wanted to speak to, career services people specifically, and what I do, right? Versus Sir Joe Mark does the same thing. He says, let's produce graduates ready for the, so he's quite specific with that. Miss Ice went with the other trend. She's kind of tried to call out that she's a marketing officer for Beyond Limits outsourcing. So she says where she's working, right?
Yeah, yeah. I go there.
Who else do we want? Okay, Marie says that she's a trainee, and she says where she goes to school. And I have, what happened to Felix's? I thought I had it. I swear, man, I had it.
Oh no.
All right, so let me go back to me so that I can find out. Aside from your tagline, one of the other important things is your about section. And notice that the three first lines are the first thing people see, are like in the mobile. You want to put, again, who you want to talk to and what is it that you do is one of the first things that you want to address. So homework that I gave to the people who registered for this was go through my profile personally, see what you can get from the way I designed it. And what I was sharing earlier, there's various trains of thought as to how you want to do your profile. At the end of the day, you want to be comfortable with how you're presenting yourself. Okay? In my case, as an entrepreneur, I want to call out who it is that I'm looking for. If I were a student, what would I say? I'm looking for a mechanical engineering job, but I'm going for the bigger companies like Fortune 500, Fortune 100, that sort of stuff. Kind of like be creative. And by the way, one of the things that I also want to share is I'm constantly changing what's on my profile. That's based on the reactions that I'm getting from people. Have you guys also done that, Sir Joe Mark and Miss Eyes?
Yeah, actually, sharing posts that has a content value or that can help you grow your connections.
Yes. So that's kind of like from the visibility standpoint, right? So I talk about, again, the tagline or your headline, your about section, and then the featured section is what Sir Joe Mark was talking about earlier, where you could put the VCF card, where in your case, you were talking about how people could get to reach you. The way I'm using my profile is I'm giving 1-minute videos to career services. I call it career services checklist, career center checklist. And what I do is I create 1-minute videos that's giving tips to these people that I want to talk to. So I kind of like have them out here. This one was a list from like one of my students, just a post that I sent out during the last day of class. So if you'll notice my content, it's kind of like mostly video content. So what I'm doing is I want people, career services director, to like check this out so they have a conversation with me. So what you guys want to do if you're a student, you want to kind of put your featured works. Remember when I was talking earlier about, say you had a college project, you could create a LinkedIn post and feature it here, or you could create a LinkedIn article about that project and feature it here, or like Sir Joe Mark said earlier, you could like put in a VCF card. What other ideas have you seen or could apply to students in your opinion?
I think they can put their portfolio there if they are
Yeah.
web designer, web developer, or any graphic artist or any career that
Very,
they
very
have.
good point. Very, very good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. The part that I didn't talk about is your cover photo. So another thing that's kind of like blaring at you is this big real estate out here that you could put your some of your portfolio if that was something. So if to Miss Ice's point, that's one way to put that. One of the other things that I didn't talk about is this picture out here. What are the do's and don'ts for pictures that you think?
There's it has to be professional, of
Has to
course.
be professional. Very good. And usually you don't want stuff in your background, right? So everybody has a cell phone nowadays. Just have your cell phone, go to like a nice background. Just make it look like it was taken at a studio. You don't even have to go to a studio. Make it look like, because we have the technology, obviously, to do that. And then one of the things that I didn't share, who uses Canva? Canva. Have you guys used that?
Canva?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using it.
Cool. Awesome. So
Yes,
for
sir.
very, very nice. So to create your professional headshot or create the cover photo or your banner, use Canva to make it look professional. So is Almarie still with us? You have homework. I guess she's not there, huh?
Yeah, I think she's already doing her homework.
That's so awesome. Great to hear. So the other homework that I want to do is for students or professionals or anybody who's listening to this live cast right now. Take a look at my profile. Take a look at who I'm trying to address and see how I'm trying to achieve that. And like I said, I'm constantly changing this to see what's being reacted to. So if you're a student, how do you want to stand out from the other people on LinkedIn? Because not everybody is doing the things that we're talking about. So these are certainly things that you could do. Other
Agreed.
learnings? Other learnings or comments? Cool.
Cool.
And I was going to say, oh, go ahead. Was that a comment? No, not really.
Yeah, I think we're cool.
All right, great. I was going to say this was kind of like going to end the first part for Module 1 that talks about the profile. If you have any questions as you're working on yours, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or kind of like post what you're going through on either the graduate to hired page or the actual page where we have today's LinkedIn Local, right? You could continue the conversation here. We could continue this as a group because number one, we have a background of relatedness. Hopefully people are listening to the conversation that we had today. And when you put a question in here about what it is that you're up to, everybody kind of learns. Cool. So this would be a good segment to cut away from module 1. Let's go into the last topic if you guys are cool. And I guess we're running out of time. How are we on time, Sir Joe Mark? We're going
Yeah,
longer than I anticipated.
we're right on track. We're nearing 1.5 hours.
Okay. Were there any questions that came about?
I think everyone is in the state of aha moment. So
I hope they are, that they didn't really hang
Yeah,
up saying that this was useless to them.
yeah, because this one is one interesting topic.
yeah, and I do believe this is fairly new to students because LinkedIn is not actually promoted in schools. So, like for me and Miss Ice, we learned about LinkedIn when we were already
When
in
we already
a
have a job. Yeah.
yeah.
So here's the other thing. I'm going to share the vision with you. One of the things that I saw when I was doing my marketing outreach, you know how we have overseas workers? Lots of Filipinos go abroad to get their jobs, right? Right? That's usually what happens. Our biggest export of the Philippines is the people who work in other countries, right? So here's a vision for you guys. What if Filipinos compete on the global scale, and not necessarily just Filipinos, anybody in the world. You could be from Nigeria, from India, from Bangladesh, of whom we have some of those people on this live cast today. Anybody in the world could actually start reaching out and taking advantage of this because, like we were saying earlier, freelancing in graphic design or whatever your skill is, LinkedIn actually has something for you. So start expanding that. So let's talk about outreach right now. Is that okay?
Let's
And
go.
this should end today's discussion. So the discussion is cold LinkedIn outreach. So just to review what we said earlier, the warm people that we want to reach out to are first the people who go to the same school that we go to, our professors. You can go to alumni, or those are the easy background of relatedness. But when you start venturing out of your comfort circle, and I'm doing cold outreach, like Bernie was trying to do cold outreach. In this particular example, I had a student named Carl, and he wanted to join a LinkedIn group that I had called Student Success. Okay? So, without any conversation, Carl kind of came out of the blue. He requested to join the LinkedIn group. So I kind of welcomed him. And I said, welcome to LinkedIn Student Success. And I started to create the conversation. Okay. When you ask questions from the other person, they kind of usually like to answer. And if you ask questions about them specifically, what's the best topic that people like to talk about?
Their intent?
Themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The more you
Themselves. So,
talk
so
about,
ask something about them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be their intent, which is kind of like one aspect of themselves. But if you ask anything about themselves, they kind of like to talk about that. So I was asking Carl, what made you want to join? So Carl goes, hey, Bernie, thank you. I wanted to join the Lincoln Success Group because of the opportunity of networking tips. Okay, so this was a student who knew that he wanted to network and being able to find a full-time career, which is not different from the audience of the people in this live cast. So notice what Carl does. So Carl says, I've read a few posts and found it definitely insightful. He's connected to Jonathan, who was somebody else that I brought on in a previous message, who was doing the same thing that I'm doing, and they said they were the ones who brought them to my group. What did Carl do right in this particular sentence? It was just the tip. It was just the tip that I shared with you earlier. Go ahead, Felix.
I'm sorry,
He said
sir.
he would.
It's
Bad
the
connection?
is unstable.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
no worries. I guess Joe
kids
Mark's
are worried
laughing.
about it.
So
I
Carl,
really
he
want to
asked
answer
me.
it, but the
Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. Bad connection.
So Carl, to the point that I was sharing earlier, when you ask the other person about themselves, they're more likely to answer. So Carl applies that with Bernie. And he goes, Carl would love to learn more about Bernie's role in how I got to where I am today. So if you're a student, say talking to a mentor or an alumnus from your university, that's quite a good question to ask. What was your journey? How did you get there? Type thing. So Carl did that very well. Okay. So I was kind of being funny with him and I said, sure, where do you want to start? And then he became more specific. He checked my profile as the other thing. Experts Referral Network was listed under my profile and Carl did his homework. So in his message to me, he goes I would love to hear your story on Experts Referral Network. So the other party knows that you are doing your homework. Cool.
Yeah.
yes,
So what
sir.
work in, go ahead. Felix saying something?
No, sir. I agree for what you're saying, sir. So the
Yeah,
student is searching search your profile and then engaging on you, and that's the thing. That's the first thing
with
we
very
do
short
to
sentences,
connect.
right?
Yes, yes. Not to throw
Very
up.
good. Not to throw up on the other person. Very nice. That's good. So Felix is listening to the information. Is there anything else that you think students can apply to their job search, or anything else from the rest of the people? We're good? I'm repeating this, and I said these tactics, like I said, allow you to reach out to whomever you want on LinkedIn. The reason I bring this up is the next case is my example, and I'll actually end this my part of this talk with the following example. So, like I was saying earlier, Bernie is reaching out to career services directors. So, again, this is called LinkedIn outreach. I wanted to connect with Aminatu, who is the one of the directors at Loyola University in Chicago. So I sent her a LinkedIn message, and this is the first message that I said. I said, Aminatu, I spoke to Rob Steppen yesterday. I'm so impressed with your Q mentorship program. And then the next thing that I said, did I spell your name right? What did I do correctly?
You've started a small talk.
Yeah.
Small talk. Very good.
Small talk.
What else? I tried to butter her up, right? I said, I'm so impressed with your Q mentorship program, right? So
Yeah.
if you find anything that's good in their profile, mention it. Give them a compliment,
Yeah, people
right?
love compliments.
Compliment it.
People love compliments,
Maybe
especially when they're not
yeah.
asking.
All I can say is to agree that we all people like the
Yeah,
compliments.
absolutely. Yeah. And then what's the last thing that I mentioned here with this Rob Steppen?
So
So
you're
Rob
trying
Steppen,
to, yeah, continue please. Sorry,
oh no,
sorry.
no, I'm trying to do what? I wanted to hear what you were saying.
So what are you trying to do there is you try to talk about the connection that you know, some
Yes, that
people
we
Right.
that you
both
Right.
know.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you both know.
Yeah, because it's background of relatedness, right? So this is what's called name dropping. So they know that I'm not just some random guy on the street. I actually heard of you through Rob. And I could actually have said that in the message as well. So very good, Felix.
Thank you, sir.
The next thing that I did, aside from sending them a message on LinkedIn, and the next thing is just to give you ideas as to what could be done. I sent them an email, but it was specifically a video email. I sent it around New Year's time, very specific, so that I could say Happy New Year. So this is akin to saying Happy Tuesday, Happy May, Happy June. I said Happy New Year is when I created this, and I used video email to send the following message. And I said, Happy 2021 to you. It's small talk again. I reiterated what I said on LinkedIn via email. I talk about Rob. I talked about the Q mentorship program. And then I said, I am looking to learn from other academic professionals. Did I throw up?
No, sir. You're trying
Definitely didn't.
to you're trying to keep the conversation up and hype it, and you know the word program is impressive. The words are to up the conversation. Did
Complimenting
I
them again.
say it right?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, Felix, I can say you're an A student. So, hashtag connected. Aminatu sent me an email back and she goes, "Hello, Bernie. Thank you for connecting with me on LinkedIn and following through." She said she wanted to talk about Q Mentorship Program, but this is kind of like what's going on where I was saying anything that you could reach out to anybody on LinkedIn to get whatever it is that you're up to. If you're a new graduate looking for a new job, you could do that. If this were an active workshop, I'd be brainstorming with you guys right now. And we could do that actually in the group later as to like ideas that you have, either as students or professionals, as to how to warm this up in your conversations. And that's kind of like part. You guys have this slide deck. And what can you apply in your job search if you're a student? Were there any comments with that? Because I guess I would like to end my part of the talk with that, Sergio Mark.
Well, how? Once more, the question is to students, how? Can you flash out that last slide again, Sir Bernie?
Sure.
So, hoping it opens up ideas to our audience on what you were previously showing to us is for, right, about for a business approach with regards to what you're doing. So, let's have a reiteration on that, on how can students apply those techniques to job search. So I guess for me, if I was still a student, okay, I would probably be looking like what you have mentioned before, the similarities and the similarities, the likes between the two
People,
of
right?
us. Yeah. Because that works.
Interests.
Yeah. And most especially when I was during my younger days, I would usually search out for my fellow alumni because the advantage of that, they say school has a less effect. But from my point of view, my perspective is some schools do really have an edge. If you see that that industry is dominated by, let's say, for example, architecture.
Hmm.
One of the schools that dominates architecture right now, from what we're seeing, are from UST.
Hmm.
Okay, and it really plays an advantage if you are in that school as well, because with regards to interview, oh, when you already know that that person is your alumni, you'll be having a conversation that, hi, hello, kumusta si Sir ganito ganyan, di ba?
Yeah, because you know the same
Unlike,
people.
yeah, so it will be a sort of remembering the past with that person. Unlike if that person, that hiring manager, is not your schoolmate or something, definitely you'll be roasted with technical
Yeah,
questions. So the
that's really
some
good.
of the yeah.
Like with the alumni, right? So you connect via that background because you went to USD, they went to USD type thing. So actually, I'd like to take that to a little bit of slant. Say Bernie finishes architecture from St. Louis University, but I wanted to connect to somebody, say Sir Joe Mark, who went to UST. I would connect to say Sir Joe Mark and say, Sir Joe Mark, I see that you went to one of the top rated schools of architecture, i.e. UST. I'm giving Sir Joe Mark a compliment that he went to
Yeah.
one of the top schools. So this doesn't necessarily mean that it's alumni that you have a background of relatedness. I could use that information to give him a compliment and start that relationship, even if I did not go to UST. So we just
Yeah.
gave him two parts of the picture there, right?
Yeah. So what Sir Bernie is sharing us to us right now are some of the workarounds. Granted that you don't initially share the same thing, and as mentioned before, Sir Bernie mentioned LinkedIn and Google search, right?
Yes.
So that's another technique. I mean, both of that person or me probably did not doesn't share the same school, But if I found out, for example, he's into Magic the Gathering cards, okay? He's
Yeah.
collecting NBA cards. He's
Yes.
collecting Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
It's a sort of done deal as well.
Yeah.
Okay?
You could just say a very quick connection request. Say, hey, Joe Mark, I see you're into Pokemon cards. And then
Yeah.
smiley face. Very simple conversational connection request, talking with a background of
Yeah.
relatedness, Pokemon cards on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and
So
I do
because they
have,
have, yeah, sure.
yeah, and one of our previous speaker, like Sir Bernie, was into. I was surprised. He was into magic cards during his high school days. So it was a click, a
That's
quick.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss
Sometimes
Ice.
people share that on their LinkedIn profile, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
all sorts of ways to do this.
Yeah, you share the same interest.
Yep. Cool. So
That was so really, you know, I don't I don't know any I don't have any idea regarding LinkedIn, but now I enjoy it and to explore LinkedIn as well.
yeah. Yeah. If there's anything that you get out of this talk today, I'm glad that you shared that, Felix, is really to use LinkedIn. Like we said before, it started out as a static repository of resumes to find jobs. It can be more than that. I don't necessarily need to find a job. I can expand my network. The best time to expand your network is when you're not looking to expand your network. The best time to
Mm.
look for a job is when you're not looking for a job. Well, that's not our audience today because obviously we're talking about graduates looking for a job, but that's just general information. So don't just go to LinkedIn when you need it, nurture it as a way to build relationships with people.
Yeah.
I remember I said to you, Sir Burns, that ang bait niyo po. That word, so
Why, thank you. See, so you were applying the techniques before you even heard it. You were paying me a compliment. So good job. Like I was saying, you're an A student.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So yes, encouraging everyone to ask questions. Okay. So once more, encouraging everyone to students. I guess now is the time for everyone to have questions or suggestions on how. Yep, you can be hired even before graduating, right?
Yeah, actually, the best time to start it. One of the videos that I created was Loyola University, and that's why I was complimenting them with their Q mentoring program. Guess how young their students are when they start this class? Sophomore year. They're matching them up with mentors talking about business. Kind of like Felix right now. If Felix got matched up with somebody like Sir Joe Mark or Miss Ice, or Bernie himself to start talking about what to do when they're looking for a job, guess how much further the student would be. And that's what
Yeah.
LinkedIn can actually do for anybody.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Even before, shout out once more to our dearest students. You can apply, actually, initially apply for a job, even though you haven't graduated yet. And it all starts by establishing connections and building up solid relationships, right? Miss Ice.
And I'm glad that you said that, Sir Joe Mark. So even though you applied for a job and then you didn't get the job, guess what you can do? You can
Yeah, yeah.
keep on sending short messages to that person, wishing them Merry Christmas, wishing them, the next, happy Araw ng Kalayaan, or, the next event that's happening. You're just constantly sending them messages and you're keeping that relationship alive. So thanks for that share, Joe Mark.
Yeah, I agree to that because it will establish a good rapport. And also, your name or your profile will be on the database of that company or in that HR.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And the other thing, actually, Miss Ice, you brought it up earlier about content. If there's somebody that you're following that you want to get on their radar, if they're contributing a lot or putting posts, sometimes they don't get likes. Sometimes they don't get comments. Well, guess how you can pay it forward? Guess how you can be a blessing to them? You can comment. And sometimes if you share your ideas, they'll be like, wow, Felix, he's really good. He knows his stuff. Look at what he just shared. He talked about my topic. It's a way for you to shine.
Yeah, that's correct. I agree with that because, yeah, sometimes it's really difficult to have an engagement to a post. So just pay it forward. Just like or share or comment.
Yes.
Yeah, it will not cost you a penny or what. So yeah,
It's
just
very, very helpful, especially if they're a regular person who comments. So let's just say they are an HR manager and you applied and you didn't get the job, but you notice that they're constantly sharing stuff. Well, guess what? I can keep on being on the radar for that hiring manager for the next job, because I'm constantly commenting. They appreciate that. And on top of that, aside from the commenting, you're sending them, oh, Merry Christmas or whatever the next holiday is. So this is what we're talking about, the relationships that Miss Ice was saying earlier.
Actually, sir, can I add some words to say? Yan.
Please.
Pwede pong Tagalogin ko para mas
Sige, Tagalog. I-translate
Yeah.
natin. Sige, Tagalog.
Go na, go.
para
I'll translate it. For the non-Tagalog people, I'll translate what Felix says.
G.
Sige,
um,
tira.
sa lahat ng estudyante out there at sa lahat ng mga graduating students out there, ang masasabi ko lang po sa inyo is to get hired and to get people what you want to connect, you have kailangan mo ng magandang attitude to do that. Ayun po. So, yun po yung tips ko para sa kanila kasi ako po as a first timer at saka graduating din. So, sa lahat po ng mga bagay na gusto nating gawin at gusto nating maging trabaho, yun isang key lang po yung kailangan gawin natin. Yung attitude, yung good attitude lang po, yun. So, tsaka, hindi naman kailangan ng good communication skills sa very magaling kay. Kung yung attitude mo naman is sinasabi ko lang po is, if you want to do something, you have to do with your attitude. Parang ganun po.
Yeah,
You have
that's
to do
really, really
something
awesome.
about your attitude.
Ang galing. Thank you very much, Felix, for sharing that. Just to translate what he said, he was saying for like new students, people who are graduating, like the best thing, he said, you don't have to be the best in what it is that you're doing, but it's the way that it's your outlook as to how you're approaching this. That's really going to take you farther than even the knowledge that's out here. And I'm glad you brought it up, Felix, because one of the slides in Module 1, at the bottom part, I say, put your best foot forward. And I called it hashtag lead your thoughts. Because guess what attitude is? It's just choosing what you're thinking about. I didn't get hired for that job. I have the choice to either feel bad about it or say, hey, I'll change my attitude. It's a good stepping stone for the next job. Hey, I could create a relationship with that hiring manager. So to Felix's point, it's all about attitude. It's all about leading your thoughts. And that's very, very, very important. I'm really glad that you brought it up, Felix. Talagang A
Thank you, sir.
student ka.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I also agree because a good character will go along the way.
True. Yeah, and just to add to those for example, if you were not accepted in a specific opportunity, don't be sad. Okay, don't be depressed. Because that person may not be offering an opportunity to you right now. Probably he knows someone. You get referrals, right? So,
That's true.
again, relationship.
That's true. I totally agree because there are some connections that doesn't need your skills now, but someone does.
Mm-hmm.
And he has other connections as well. So
Mhm.
don't burn bridges, okay? In addition, I guess I'd like to honor the presence of Rob Humphrey. So he's from LinkedIn, and he shares the same passion as well on helping out students get jobs through LinkedIn. He's the guy currently with LinkedIn right now. He's watching. So thank you
Awesome,
for
awesome.
Hi, Rob.
Hey,
thank you
Rob,
for joining us,
welcome.
Rob.
Let's
Hi,
please
Rob.
connect because we're all about connections.
Yep.
And I think I just have one question for Bernie because I think this will be uh, somewhat related because most of the graduates or upcoming graduate students think of this because what can be their edge to those who have an experience, job experience? Because I think those that is kind of hard to, you know, to compensate because some of the like nowadays the pandemic nowadays there are a lot of laid off employees so they have their job experience so how can the upcoming graduate students um, cope up with that or how what are the tips that you can give to give them an edge in applying.
Sure, sure, sure. Really, really good question there, Miss Ice. So I would like to go back to what Felix pointed out earlier. Attitude number one. Okay, sure, they may have the edge from the perspective of experience, and I may not be so experienced. But guess what? If you're listening to this call today, you know that LinkedIn is a tool. You know some things that this other person, though they are more experienced, may not know. So guess who has the edge? You do. Start applying some of the techniques that we have to kind of like stand out higher. Sure, they could be talking about their experience, but if I wanted to share the executive function skills like leadership, like initiative, stuff like that, I could be putting into my profile to talk more along those lines. Sure, I'd like to match their technical expertise and try to match it to the best that I could, and then I'm going to give it some more by hitting the executive function skills or maybe marketing myself better on LinkedIn. Maybe they don't know about this. So these are some things that you could do to make you stand out for somebody who supposedly has better skills than you. Maybe you may have a better personality. It comes across, that sort of stuff. Did I kind of hit some of those for you, Miss Ice?
Yeah, and also I would just like to add that mostly of the graduate or upcoming graduate students are more trainable,
Yeah.
Mm.
are highly trainable on their first job.
And you can highlight that as well, as far
Hmm.
as an experience from maybe you had this part time job and you were a quick study. You learned very fast. You kind of like quantify it. What normally people learn in 4 weeks, you learned it in 1 week, that sort of stuff. So if you had that experience to kind of like figure out a way to get it into your resume or into your LinkedIn profile, that kind of doesn't, there are ways to do this, obviously. So,
Yeah, I agree. And also, because of the pandemic, I'm always reiterating of this one. Some of the graduates or other job seekers just settle for what they will have right now and not their passion. Oh, what's your insight or stand on that one?
okay. Again, I really like the standpoint because you're right. We're in the midst of a pandemic and we could start settling for what it is that we have immediately. That's next. My first thing to do would be to put food on the table. So, sure, I'd go in by quote unquote settling for a job. That's not necessarily my dream job or my passion to put food on the table. But here's the tip, don't stop looking. Get that job, put food on your table while you continue looking, is what we would like to do.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, for example, my brother's a physical therapist. So because of the pandemic, he got laid off, retrenched from the hospital where he was working at. I was going for a new client who I kind of like lost in April. We were kind of like interviewing. He was interviewing for a job. I was interviewing a client. He apparently got a job for home health, which is not a company. And typically, home health isn't as nice as, say, working for a hospital. So I'm like, congratulations. You have food on your table with this home health job. But one of the things that you should not stop doing is to continue looking for something that's better than where you're at. I mean, it always makes sense to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think growth comes when you go out of your box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree.
Yes. Okay, we have a question. If you don't have the skills yet, okay, can you still get a job before graduation even if you don't have the skills yet? So I'm going to throw the question back. If I were a hiring manager and I take a look at your resume and you don't have the skills that I'm looking for, will I hire you? And the answer would be no. Could you get lucky that they're using you? Maybe it's an internship. Maybe it's an apprenticeship. So to your point, there is possibility, but that's kind of like an open-ended question. What I would do if I were you as a student is start looking for classes or start looking for projects given by the school, or I create my own project, not necessarily affiliated with the school. I create a project that's addressing those skills that they may be looking for. And then I can feature it on LinkedIn. I took the initiative, I addressed the skills, and I showed leadership in trying to do that. I hope that answers your question, Junjun.
I would also like to add to Junjun's another perspective to Junjun's questions. So, as some employers or company, yes, they will give you a job because a skill can be taught, can be learned.
Develop. Yes.
Yes. So, uh, those company will surely train you, coach you on how to acquire those skills that they wanted you to have. So yeah, that's another one because that will help you grow your career, and as well as that will help you give an edge to other candidates if you want to change a career, something like that.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Miss Ice. You're right. Some companies will train you to do that stuff. So what I got from Miss Ice's answer is to Felix's point earlier about attitude. Try. If you don't get it, so what? You tried, and then you could learn from the experience. Thank you for sharing that, because some people are willing to pay to train you. So why not, right?
That's true, because in the BPO industry, like where I am right now, we really train people, even
Yeah.
though they don't have
Yeah.
the right skill, even though they don't have the right learning. We really train them to be expert and skilled and mastered the said skill.
Very, very good point. Awesome. Hey, Christopher joined us from Germany. Sometimes it's about the engagement. That's a skill too. Absolutely, Christopher. You're talking, I'm assuming, about the engagement with the hiring manager. It's kind of like showing your people's skills, not necessarily the technical skills, but by virtue of you alone reaching out and trying to close the deal, so to speak, even if it's obvious that you don't have the skill, is showing another skill. So thanks for that share, Christopher. Great point.
I think he also wants to say that it's about communication.
Yes.
You have to learn first how to communicate with other people so that you can sell yourself.
Yes. The other soft skills. So that's really, really great. I really like that you bring out that point. It may not necessarily be that skill, but you're showcasing yet another skill that you have. Great points.
I have a question, Bernie. Aside from the difference in the spelling, okay, with OJT and intern, can you share to us the difference on the settings between an intern OJT in the US and the Philippines? Any idea
Um,
on that?
Good
What's the
question.
setting when you say you're an intern in US?
When you're an intern, they're actually paying you. So technically, it's on the job training as well, because as an intern, you're doing the job, not necessarily like, for example, I work for this internet company, and they had interns for that summer. We were in the sales department, so they had this intern go around with us on sales calls. But that's what it wasn't necessarily what they were doing all the time. Sometimes they were like, "Is there something that you want our intern to do for you?" So it's training per se, from the standpoint of you get to be immersed in the environment, you get to see what people are doing, and you're getting paid, is how I see some of those in the States. I would assume there are some internships that aren't paid. If I were a person that was going for a job that I really, really liked, and there was an unpaid internship, I would do it in a heartbeat just to get those skills. So I guess it doesn't matter where the job is, the Philippines or US. I'm just breaking it down into a paid internship slash on the job training versus unpaid. I hope I addressed it.
Yeah, I agree to Bernie because even if it's unpaid, but if it is your passion and if it is what you really like, you will. It's not about the money. It's about what you can acquire, what knowledge you can have.
Yeah, I understand. Sir Joe Mark did an OJT for a year, so that was awesome. I guess what the benefits were nothing compared to the free service that he gave them.
Yeah, and by learning something,
Yeah.
it will pay off for the long run. Okay, so I understand that
Mhm.
some of the students would really would like to earn, but in this current situation and with regards to competition, I think you better invest in gaining new skills, being marketable, right? And
Yes.
that will bring you very very far. Money will come when you have everything, when you have a complete set of
Yeah.
arsenal in your sleeves.
Yeah. And to your point, Sir Joe Mark, like you were saying, take it for the experience right now. But to the point that Miss Ice and I were talking about earlier, that doesn't mean you stop looking for a job that pays. So take it for right now. If that's something that
Yeah.
came to you, just don't stop looking.
Yeah, I
You're the
agree.
captain of your ship.
Yeah, totally agree. Because those credentials will surely be a really good aesthetic on your CV.
Yeah, and I'm glad you recall that, Bernie, because what happened to me during that time, there was no free, what do you call that, head count. There was no free head count during that time, so I have to wait for them to open up, and then suddenly it happened. So imagine that if I were very hesitant for
Yeah.
that role, I will probably never get to have that opportunity.
And
If I
doors
insist
open.
on being paid right away, right?
Yes. Yes. So it's kind of like checks and balances. You got to do what's best for you, but kind of seize the opportunity when it shows up. So I'm glad it all worked out for you, Sir Joe Mark.
Yep. Another question from Ralph Neal. Sir
So
Bernie.
if
All
so if you're
right.
scared of the interview, so number one, everybody gets scared. Okay, that's normal. Butterflies in your stomach. Okay, is the first thing. So the first thing I would advise is to acknowledge that fear. Don't let it go away because it's not going to go away. I got nervous before coming onto this call today. Everybody gets nervous. Okay. So you acknowledge it, and then you move forward from there. Because if you try to get rid of the acknowledging that you're fearful, then you're kind of like just covering it up. The trick is to move forward the quickest after you acknowledge your fear. So say, thank you so much, fear, for being here. Okay, I'm going to show them who, Ralph Nell is, and show them the best Ralph Nell that you can, because there's only one you. So after you acknowledge it, what I find out, for me at least, is it kind of like opens it up where I'm more clear to now show up with the best version that I am. Okay? That's kind of like an answer that's out here. The other direct answer to your question is practice, practice, practice.
Agree. And also research.
Yes. Yeah, because research, when you have the knowledge, then you feel more confident. So thank you, Miss Ice.
Yeah, because whatever they ask you, just be confident also. You cannot give what you don't have.
Yeah, it's in the delivery. So that's awesome.
Okay, here's another one. I'm going to say this in Tagalog.
Okay.
Okay?
Ikaw na rin
Sigura
mag-translate?
yeah,
Ako.
yeah. No. Ikaw ang master diyan. Anyways, I've been to a lot of interviews, okay, guys, and probably kayo din, our soon to be graduating students. And I have experienced a lot of interviews. Hanggang ngayon hindi ko masyadong magets eh. There are some interviewees na ang dating talaga nung interview is very intensive at parang ginigisa ka. Parang ang taray nila, parang they're pissing you off, they're bringing you to the brink of they're bringing you to the brink of anger. Okay? So is that an interview technique, or is that an interview technique?
Could be. Depends on what the job is. What if the job was you handling stress? Maybe they're trying to break you to see how you reacted. We don't know specifics, obviously, on the question, but sure, it could be an interviewing technique. It depends on what they're interviewing for. But like I said, if the skill that they're looking for is how you handle pressure, how you handle people ticking you off, say it's customer service. So it could be a technique. I don't know. We don't know the specifics.
Yeah, I think
Because,
it depends on the position that you're applying for.
Yeah, and I do suggest this because I think this is a technique. This is a technique because I have seen previously, if you're familiar with the Apprentice Asia,
Oh,
if you're
yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with Jonathan Yabut, there's a
Yeah,
segment
yeah.
there that they went through an interview. And that interview was very, very intensive, very hot, and it was very stressful to all of the candidates for the
Candidates.
apprentice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've
If
watched
you recall that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, yeah. It's really, it's like a monstrous.
Yeah.
It's really deep, monstrous, and I think tremendous or experience for the candidates. I think it's kind of traumatic, right, John Mark? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Traumatic.
Highly suggesting that one for the students. Watch the replay of the Apprentice Asia. I'm saying Apprentice Asia because the winner there was a Filipino. You can relate very well. Although Apprentice USA is also good, but Pinoy kasi yun eh. You can relate to the experience of Jonathan Yabut.
Yabut.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to further that question as well by giving a different perspective. At the end of the day, like I said earlier, you're the captain of your ship. If they were trying to break me down, and that's the culture of the work environment that I will be at once I get hired, is that something that I want? If your answer is no, be very nice about it. Say, thank you very much for offering me this opportunity to interview, but I don't think this is for me. So you still have the choice. If it's a job that you really, really want, and it's the process to get there, by all means do it. But don't forget, you always have a choice.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also a respect for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Even if
so
that's what you really want and that's what you are passionate about, but they don't give you that kind of respect. Oh, yeah.
Okay, shout out from Herbert Kagiyat.
Earn more and more skills today. Earn more and okay. I like your Hubert, how you're equating more skills equals more money. So thank you for sharing.
Hi, sir.
Hello. So Christopher,
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
because it's water, right, Christopher? That's awesome suggestion. Just kind of like get in. Cool, cool, cool. Really love the interaction. I guess we're getting some of the interaction.
Yeah, yeah. I think the audience are getting the confidence right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we can always continue this in the
Yeah,
LinkedIn group where you
yeah.
announced it. Feel free to share what you have, and we could continue this interaction over there, obviously.
Here's another one.
How would we show ourselves to the employer that we are qualified to be hired? The best way to do that, I think, here's my perspective, and then we'll give Sir Joe Mark and Miss Ice the opportunity, is I would go to their job description. What is it that they're looking for? Okay, go to the job description, find out what my skills are. During the interview, make sure I'm speaking to whatever they're looking for. I repeat, I take a look at their job description. I do an assessment of what it is that I'm good at. I kind of like highlight what I'm good at to match that during the interview, would be my tactic.
Yeah, it's like that you're giving your selling point that is matched to their job description.
Absolutely.
My thoughts. How about you guys? Anything to add on that?
For that, if you are a fresh graduate, you have to be confident on who you are and what you can offer, because you have the fresh ideas, fresh thoughts. So that is what you can offer to the employer. So somehow, some of their employees doesn't have that fresh concept that you have. That's an edge for you. So yeah.
That's a very good suggestion because you do bring an objective third party thing. What I would say in tandem with what Miss I shared is I would research the company and you give your fresh perspective as to what it is that they're up to. Because Miss Ice is right. You have that different outsider's perspective right now. So that's actually very, very valuable to them. So tie it up with homework to give you more confidence and give them that fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Awesome point.
Ito siguro from what I can share. Okay. Question. Pag hinire kayo, no, when someone hires you, 'di ba? 'Di ba ang isa sa purpose nun, guys, remember this. If someone hires you, one of the purpose of hiring you is what? 'Di ba? You are 'di ba? You are required, you are tasked, you are helping out bring money
To the
to
company.
an organization.
Yep.
Again, to our students. Hindi na nagigets to eh. Minsan, sometimes, ang tingin nila, ang galing nila eh. Pero again, once, pag may hiring ang isang company, definitely, ang purpose nun guys, ay magdadala ka ng pera sa kumpanya. Diba? Again, when you are hired, when a company is looking for have an open position, nangyari yun kasi ini-expect nila na magdadala ka. Again, guys, ang obligasyon natin bilang empleyado magdadala ng pera sa kumpanya.
Kumpanya.
Isipin nyo ng malalim yun. Isipin nyo ng malalim yun. Possibly yung trabaho mo hindi ganun kalaki yung impact. Kunyari, you're doing clerical job. Pero that job equates to the overall, 'di ba? Overall machinery, makinarya ng company that will get the company earn money. So, my suggestion is if you would like to be talaga hired talaga, make a something na talagang makikita ng company na you yourself will be bringing a lot of money to the company. Isipin nyo lagi guys, and this is a dilemma for some of the students, most especially the fresh ones. They used to say na para matuto po ako sa company nyo. Willing po akong matuto. Nako, guys, kung sinagot kayo na maayos doon, mabait pa yon guys.
That's true.
Guys, let me share to you the perspective on an owner or a CEO na may pressure ng kanyang stakeholders, guys. A company to exist needs money, needs to fulfill his her obligation to the stakeholders. Now, if you're not bringing money to the company, sinabi mo agad ganun, nako, baka mapagalitan pa tayo niya. So again guys, and there's a technique din, no? You may probably not be paid immediately, pero kung nagdadala ka ng pera at initially ganun, you will be. Or another way is you're bringing solutions. Diba? Here's what Sir Bernie kanina, diba? Yung his ways, his tactics on finding clients. One of our ways in finding clients, hindi kami naghahanap ng ito technique to. Hindi kami naghahanap ng problema hindi kami naghahanap ng kliyente na may problema na. This is malaking difference to May mga kliyente, Sir Bernie, who's naghahanap sila ng solution sa problem nila. Pero one of the great way that will extend that relationship, what I currently do, I look for the pain points of a specific company.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Kaysa yung nalaman na nila yung problema nila, yun ang matinding benefit at a long-term relationship and clients. So our clients, ganun mostly ang nangyari sa amin with them. And ganun din sana sa mga students. Kaya I give them when we have OJTs, Sir Bernie and Miss Ice, I give them the opportunity to do whatever they want. I don't pressure them na ito kailangan nyo gawin. I don't micromanage them kasi they may probably be bringing a fresh perspective. That's why what I'm always asking from them, ano yung nakikita nyo yung problema sa company? Diba? Kung may nakita kayo, sabihin nyo sa akin. At pag sinabi nyo sa akin, ano yung solusyon? By that alone, diba? You're giving me an eye-opener that I should hire you. Kasi you're solving a problem, guys. And that solving a problem equates to bringing in money. So definitely, hired agad yun, di ba? Hindi yung, di ba? Lahat tayo, I prefer not micromanaging. I prefer even me myself.
I want to work for you.
Even me myself, di ba, Ice? I don't want to be told by my boss not to do this, do that.
That's right.
And it applies also to our clients. We don't want to be told, syempre, as much as possible what to do. We want it to be general. You want 500 students for a specific software adopting your technology, diba? We'll do that for you. Na may initiative, may kusa, finding out what the problem is, and I hope that that attack or technique i-adapt ng mga students natin.
Yeah, that's actually that's really, really good that you brought that out, Sir Joe Mark. So just for the people, I guess who didn't understand the Tagalog part, what we're talking about is a student that tries to go for a job. And when they go there, and actually that's not uncommon. Students normally come because they don't know any better. You're a fresh graduate and all the stuff. You really know about focusing on you and then kind of like putting the good parts of you and then offering that as a plate to your future employer. So to Sir Joe Mark's point, as an employer, you have a company to run. You're talking about bottom line, bringing in money to the company. So I like the point that he brought up because if you're a student, you should always be thinking. And by the way, this applies to how you write your resume. This applies to how you create your LinkedIn profile. It's not just a listing of your skills, it's a listing of how your skills bring the company that you're applying for money. I repeat, it's not just about your skills, but it would be better if you framed it such that your skills show the hiring manager how you can get them to your goal. So just some food for thought there. And I'm really, really glad that Sir Joe Mark brought up that point.
And then and sometimes minsan talaga they don't see what the problem is, and pag nakita mo yung problem na yon, you showed it to them, that's very very impactful.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They will truly appreciate you for that because you've brought the like you've said the problem that they're not aware of.
You save them you save them from future problems. So guys, yan sana na-gets nyo yun. identify the pain points, di ba?
And
Identify
also
the
just
pain
to
points.
yeah, just to add also that your that the candidates that will be hired as an employee that brings money to the company, just take note of this. Time is money for the businesses. Yeah, so if you are that efficient and proficient on what you are doing, you're bringing more money to the company.
Yeah. And tama si Miss I, sa communication, 'di ba? So much communication. Meeting is a sort of communication. Brings, 'di ba? Waste of time. Kaya ako, what I usually say out there, 'di ba, to our students, 'di ba? Minimal talking. Say what you want, 'di ba? You want this 500,000? You'll be surprised, 'di ba? I'm giving you the freedom to do whatever you want as long as you achieve that, 'di ba? That
Yes,
that goal.
Yeah,
And
yes,
I
power.
guess,
very straightforward.
yeah, and it applies to Miss I's right? Industry.
Yeah,
Outsourcing is bringing a solution, 'di ba? Not only cost effectiveness,
yeah. There
but
are a lot of
solutions as well.
mhm. There are a lot of advantages in outsourcing. Like first of course, cut cost. Time is equals to money, and then for the Western country, the labor and operational cost is higher than here in the Philippines. So that's one. And of course, with the time that they have or the time that they will save in outsourcing, they will be focused on the core function of their business, which is to get more clients or to do more marketing, something like that. So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's some points.
Ito, I know Danica, so may pagkamahiyain talaga yan, Sir Bernie. So, your advice on her situation.
Okay, I do Qigong. Let me give you an exact technique right now. I'm just standing here. Just before you go in, I'm just shaking. Think about this. What do animals do? If you have a dog, the dog kind of like goes like that, shakes stuff off, shakes off the bad energy, shake off your nervousness. So actually, you stand up right now. If you're listening to this message, just stand up with me, and I'm just shaking. I'm letting the energy go. If it helps, close your eyes. I'm just shaking the energy off. So that's something that you could actually do in the moment. If you're into workout, I do push-ups. I do jumping jacks in the area to get rid of that energy in the moment. So I hope that helps, Danica.
Yeah, I do the shaking part also whenever I'm nervous, just to shake off the bad vibes or any nervousness that I have. I really do that. It really helps, Danica. It really do.
Yep. How about you, Almarie? We haven't heard from you, so your thoughts, Almarie? Mukhang bad connection din.
Yeah,
Almarie,
bad
your
connection.
thoughts? Mababad connection tayo ni Almarie.
I think she cannot hear us because of the bad connection again.
No, pero we appreciate your presence, Almari. So
Yeah.
again, going back to outsourcing, there's a lesson there, guys. Apply that, 'di ba? Bring a solution. Outsourcing brings solution to a company. Okay, here's another one.
Sir, this question is from my classmate.
Okay, finally.
Sorry, sir. I'm having hard time with connection.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think most of our graduates or our upcoming graduate students are shy to have an interview. Yeah.
So it's saying that you're already in the company as an intern, so you're already hired. So if I understand the question right, is how do you take initiative when you're already in the company? That you should not wait for orders. Very good. Have you guys heard of Nike? Nike? What's their tagline?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Sir
So,
Bernie.
yes. Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Sir, this question is from my classmate. Can you give some tips or ideas?
I think you got cut off. Anne-Marie, give some tips on what, please? Is that bad connection? Did you guys catch the question? I just heard tips.
I think she's I'm not quite sure if I got it right. She's asking any tips or advice on this question because
This question from Junjun?
yeah.
Okay. So the thing to do, it's I was going to tie it in to what we were talking about earlier. What Miss I said about you bringing in a fresh perspective as an intern. You're an outsider with a temporary job in that company, and you're seeing the way the company operates from fresh eyes. So if you see something that doesn't make sense to you, you could approach it by saying, "This is what I observed. Could it possibly be this?" So one of the things that I would do is jot my notes down in a notebook. Maybe I like to put data down, and then when you have enough, then you go to the manager and talk to them about that. Or I guess if you're shy, you could have to put your shy on the side for a little bit and ask to have
Yeah,
an
yeah.
appointment with the manager perhaps and talk about what you observed. So I guess that's what I meant about doing a Nike. So I would love to hear what the others have to say.
Yeah, actually, I agree to that one because at Beyond Limits on our company, we have that one-on-one coaching or talk with our manager or our boss. Because, like, if we have new ideas or if we have a suggestion, we can talk it about to our higher ups, and that's a good thing because they're open to the new ideas that we have.
That's really, really awesome. So what you're saying is take advantage if the doors are open with specific policies like that. So hopefully Junjun is working for a company that's like that.
Yeah, if they
Awesome
don't
point.
have that one, uh, if their manager or immediate supervisor is really approachable, they can approach them anytime.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, sure.
One of the techniques that I would do is compare my thoughts or ideas with the other people that I'm working with. If you're kind of like worried about going directly to the manager because it may be right, it may be not, I would like verify the information that I have with some of the people that I'm working with to kind of like back it up. And then guess what? When you go to talk to the manager, say, I did the research. I spoke to the other people in this department and we observed that. So I'm not just talking about my observation now. I took the initiative. I spoke to the people. I corroborated the information, and then I handed that to the manager. So It's kind of like another way of marketing the information.
And I think they will really appreciate you if you will do that, because that's a new and fresh idea or perspective from them
Yeah.
that they may not see on their side.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you guys are bringing this up because a new graduate has fresh ideas. New graduate, fresh ideas. So use that as one of your strengths and use it whenever you're marketing yourself. So somewhere in there, kind of like work it in because they may not see that. You tell them.
Yeah, because and that way you can sell yourself to them. That's one of your selling point.
Ayos.
Right, Joe Mark?
Bad connection.
Okay,
Connection also.
so and as mentioned earlier, LinkedIn is also a not only a database, right?
Mhm.
Definitely, right, Sir Bernie. LinkedIn is a database
It
because whenever
started.
you see, yeah, whenever you see from the standpoint of a recruiter, I think they have a panel there, right? That they will
Mhm.
key in those keywords.
Correct.
Okay, those keywords, and if you have that keywords, which that skill specifically, that skill, you'll be attracting career opportunities. And again, we mentioned earlier, Sir Bernie and ICE Google, right? And
Google your name.
yeah, most of our participants and students right now are from IT background, so definitely they are familiar with SEO
Hmm.
and how those set of links, okay, connects organically with some other sites or links. That's SEO, and that's having your name whenever I type something. Like I actually made a quick search about Sir Bernie. It just so happened this is the time that I was about to share this. Okay,
You just did it
yeah,
today or a while back?
a while back when you mentioned about Google, and
Yeah.
it really is impactful when you make a search in Google because it adds up authority if your
Hmm.
name was quickly appears and with a positive.
Good
Okay,
point.
yeah, positive. It has a positive connotation. I made a search of your name and then I see, diba? I see scams or something. You were involved in this lawsuit or
Yeah.
you stole something from the company. So
Yeah.
be again, guys, to our students, be mindful on your presence in social media. Can you please share to us more about that, Miss Ice?
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
Your presence in Instagram, in Facebook. Miss Ice, your thoughts?
Yeah, your digital footprint is really really important to you because it will either build or ruin yourself, your name on it. Yeah. Or if you have a company, or if you're thinking of building your company, build your digital footprint first. A good digital footprint.
Ayan. So, yep. If there's no more questions, once more, feel free to connect. Not feel free. I guess I'm going to say this. You are required. You're required. Compulsory. In an academic setting, you are
Yeah.
highly advised to connect with Sir Bernie. And yeah, that's the power of connections.
Hmm.
Probably right now, diba, there's no opportunity that we can provide to you ASAP.
Hmm.
But
But
yeah,
we know people. We know
we know
people.
people. Time changes, diba? Empires crumble, and definitely opportunities will be opened granted that you have planted that seeds. Hopefully, right now, diba? Now is the
Yeah,
time.
now is the time. Take advantage of LinkedIn, and thank you so much for having me today. This was a fun session. Actually, it was more fun than I anticipated. So loved
Okay,
it.
so yep. Once more, if you have an advocacy, a message to share, inviting you to be our next sharer in Lincoln Local Metro South. If you also know someone who has an advocacy, a positive message to share, yeah, inviting you to be our next Sir Bernie Floresca. Okay, it's all from the heart. Okay, sharing his knowledge and his time. Okay, so that's a very valuable, and yeah, I hope we made a positive impact. We made you realize things, and we really do want everyone, especially the young ones, to succeed in their chosen careers. Your message, Miss Ice.
Yeah, just be true to yourself. Share what you can offer, and don't be scared in trying things. Because from trying things, you will be able to uh, see what you can do. There will be you can go out of your box because you can grow out. You can grow from there. So yeah. And can I plug in something?
Sure.
Yeah, so we will be having a webinar session by this week. Go beyond limits outsourcing solutions. That's where I'm from. So it's an outsourcing company. We will be having a session for virtual business administration and IT. We will also be having social media marketing. So how can you expand your online presence through social media and other online platforms. We will also be having a session where you will know how to outsource accounting and financial tasks. And also, you will learn more on how healthcare outsourcing works. And last week, I think this week, sorry, this week we had the first session, which is the outsourcing 101, the advantages of outsourcing, how does the operations and management work, as well as the hiring to retention. We also had an escrow title, real estate and construction outsourcing webinar this week. So yeah,
Lots.
watch out for
Uh,
that.
yep. How about you, Felix? Aside from having a bad connection, what are your thoughts, learnings with Sir Bernie and us?
I just want to say thank you to everybody right here. Over at all right. I just want to say thank you to all of you. You boost my con confidence. Yeah, and thank you for the knowledge you share to us. Like me, I'm a graduating student, and all the students over over there.
Hmm.
Yeah, hope we all guys gain knowledge about this topic. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome. Thank you for
Sir
being
Bernie?
part of our group. The only thing that I want to impart with the group is, first of all, thank you to Miss Ice, Felix, Almarie, and Sir Joe Mark. If there is one thing that you get out of today's session, is if you've never started on LinkedIn before, I am your wake up call. Today is your day to do something about it and use LinkedIn more actively because you won't regret it.
Awesome. Okay, so yep, once more, thank you, Sir Bernie. Thank you, Miss Ice. Thank you, Felix, Almarie. And thank you everyone for spending your time. Time is gold. So sana po nakatulong kami as usual. We hope we have been a blessing to everyone. And yeah, let's continue to be a blessing than a burden. And hoping to see you again soon. Please connect with us in LinkedIn. Okay, once more. And yeah, See you soon. See you probably next Saturday for another edition of Lincoln Local Metro South Live. Thank you, everyone. Good morning
Thank
to
you,
you, Sir Bernie.
everyone.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Stay
Sir
safe,
Burns. Thank
everyone.
you, everyone.